And I looked at the front of the rig, I'm going like this, going, oh, are we going to be booted out of here?
We lived off grid for 15 years.
We're gonna film something in the bathroom. Hi, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Elizabeth.
We are on a journey to weave together our desire to be more self-sufficient like our pioneer ancestors, while also enjoying the amazing technology that we love.
And here today we have with us Mark and Elizabeth. Joshua was driving by at our awesome boondocking spot yesterday, and he stopped and he said, what is that? It was another Solitude 390 RK, the same model that we have. So of course he pulled off the road and had to come knocking and saying hi. And they graciously have allowed us to come do a video with them.
What I wanted to ask you guys is, what was the thought process in your mind when a truck stopped outside when there's absolutely no one around you?
Well, he was working on a little project and I saw your truck go by, and then I saw you stop and stay right over there for just a minute, and then you pulled up closer real slow, and I looked at the front of the rig, I'm going like this, going, oh, are we going to be booted out of here? And then you came in, yeah. I said, and then he said,
I think it's the farmer and we're going to get booted.
That's what he said. And then as soon as you got out of the truck, I said, oh, that's a Joshua Webb. And he goes, who? I said, Joshua Webb. Oh, you're kidding. So it's like, oh, I was in the middle of nowhere here. Yeah,
well, today we have something really exciting for you guys. Because my Solitude radar went off and I was able to see them, we're going to get a tour of their rig, their solar setup, their inverters, and a super secret at the end, and something else that we're going to show you in his inverter system that is going to literally blow your mind, because when I heard it, it blew my mind. So we're going to get started. I hope you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the notification, and stick with us. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take a camera a place we normally don't take them when we visit with people and go. We're going to film something in the bathroom. So, Mark, what do you have?
We have a toilet that I'd like to introduce the world to. Did a little work on it. It's a standard Separett Villa toilet.
Okay.
It is a just kind of a basic toilet. It's kind of elongated. Yeah. It's like a regular toilet that you'd use in a house or a cabin or something like that.
Okay.
And it's not a composting toilet. It typically just basically dries the contents, we'll say. And the urine, in this case, you have to set up a diverter for the urine. So as opposed to Nature's Head and those types of toilets where you have a little jug or something like that, this is actually diverted, and I set it up so it diverts directly into our black tank.
Okay.
So contents of number 1 go into the black tank, contents of number 2 go into, in essence, a bucket. And the bucket contents get dried over time from a fan that's built into the toilet. Came with the toilet, right? Oh. So that actually came with the toilet.
Okay.
But I did some modifications. Vent. The exterior vent.
Yeah.
But when you're very close to the neighbor.
Oh my gosh.
That's not where they want the vent. It might be where I want the vent, but not where they want the vent.
Yes.
So I have a solution for that, and I can show you that if you'd like to see that.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to go over here and pull out the solution.
Nothing like a little poo air for the neighbors.
No, you don't want that.
Oh, we have that exact same printer.
Do you?
Yes, it's underneath my desk.
Yeah.
On a little, it used to be a hospital table, and now it's a printer holder.
So this guy, just so you can see inside here, I put a high-powered fan in there.
All right.
And it runs right there. Put this little guy on here.
Okay.
And then you hang this over here. We do this whenever we set up in a campground. Oh, we just
got those clips up there.
Pop this on right there.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Pop this off.
So if we can
wiggle this down.
See right there, he's got the little clips where it hangs. And then now he's going to power his fan.
And the fan I don't think is on right now, but I'll show you that little trick as well, which is pretty awesome.
And then you just shove that right in.
Done.
That gives a whole new meaning to Solitude.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, whole new meaning to solitude. They'll just love us for that.
I'm guessing people often leave you guys alone when if you don't have that black tube on.
We put it on there out of courtesy every time we're anywhere near anyone. We sure do. So that's kind of how it goes. It allows me to boondock, allows us to boondock much more, much longer, because we can now divert all urine into the black tank and not dump a black tank, which is sewage typically. So we don't have sewage, which is all the laws are kind of based around sewage, where the two are mixed. We don't have to worry about that because the urine goes one way, the number two goes another way, so we don't have sewage. Our black tank takes upwards of 3 months to fill when it's just urine.
3 months.
That allows us to stay out and about for a very long time without dumping black.
Nice.
And now you're not using any water in that flush process either, I would assume.
We actually do.
Oh.
Because urine has the habit of crystallizing, so you want to dilute it a little bit. So we have a little cup that we pour into the toilet after you use it. You pour a little cup of water down behind it, and that kind of flushes it through, so you don't have that crystallization problem. So it's kind of like a little flush, but it's only like a cup of water is all you need to do to actually accomplish that. So as opposed to a regular toilet in a typical RV where you're flushing with a gallon or 2 gallons of water, we're only flushing with maybe a cup of water. So that's one of the things that makes this extremely handy for boondocking. I made a few advancements to the toilet, we'll call it. That tube that we put up outside the rig is one of them. That is a 50 cubic foot a minute fan. It's built in the toilet with a 20 cubic foot a minute fan. So in essence, I can flip a switch right here, and maybe you'll hear it come on, but I flip the switch, and you can hear a louder fan that comes on, and that basically is pulling the air out of the toilet much faster. It dries things much faster. And it throws it right up to the top of that tube, and any odors go off into space.
Does your solids, does it have any sort of medium in it, or is it just a fan?
We actually use coconut core as well, because one of the things that they don't tell you, frankly, from any toilet manufacturer, is that the odors that can build up inside of any of these toilets, coconut core has an amazing property where it absorbs a ton of odor. And it's used in the composting toilets as a composting medium, but typically it doesn't compost for about 6 months. It takes a long time, and you need to have certain temperatures that are in there, and it's very scientific stuff. So coconut core is just really good for tamping down odors. So we do put some coconut core in after each use. So that keeps any potential odors from coming back out of the toilet, and any odors that we do have just go right out the pipe. It's a very strong pipe, and if you're talented, you could probably whistle Dixie sitting on the toilet, because there's quite a sucking thing going on in there. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
And the other thing is I put kind of an auto flush thing here as well. So when you're using the toilet, when you sit on it, there's a momentary switch that literally opens a valve that lets all the contents of the urine part go right into the black tank.
Nice.
And then when you stand back up, that momentary switch closes that little valve. And the reason you want to close that little valve is you do not want a direct hole down into your black tank. You want to be able to close that off in between use. So that's how this toilet works.
So Mark loves his toilet. What does Elizabeth have to say?
Well, aesthetically, not pleased with it.
Right.
For a female, you do have to get a little adjusted to it because of the diverter that's in there. So you find yourself sliding back a little bit for waste and moving forward for the liquid. So instead of just sitting on a regular home toilet, just one position and you're good to go. So as far as that's concerned, not a real big deal, but I think aesthetically I'm not real pleased with the size of it or the look of it, and that's the only thing though. But it is like taking out a bag of trash. So it is very simple, and it does save us from having to dump our black tank maybe once a week. So as Mark indicated, like every 3 months.
do you ever have guests use your toilet? And if so, do you have to give them a little lesson before they can go?
Every time. There's definitely an education involved. We come in here with the guest and we give them the full overview of what they have to do in order to use the toilet. But we haven't had any issues with that or accidents at this point, so it's gone just fine.
It's kind of funny because when we do have guests over, and they'll say, "Oh, can we use your restroom?" We're like beating them to the restroom before. We're going first because we have to show you how to use the restroom. They're kind of giving us this look like, "What are you talking about?" Why?
We've joked that we want to put a poster on the back of this door when they shut the door that says, "Hi, you're about to use a composting toilet. Here's what you need to know."
Maybe a full cartoonish
Exactly.
Description of how to use it.
Yes, like they do and like we do, we like to boondock, and those of you who are frustrated with how quickly your black tank off gases, maybe it's not even full, but it just reeks every time you flush, and looking for ways to get around having to take a truckload full of waste into town when you don't want to move your rig every time, this is a much more elegant solution. Well, elegant. It's a bag full of poop,
Yeah.
but it gets it done without having to pipe all the water and then get an extra macerator pump and all that comes with that.
Yep.
So let's talk about what is this? Well, it looks like you have a small air gap safe.
Yes, we actually have an input and an outlet for fans that go to our solar batteries.
Oh.
So this is actually the solution there, and I, in essence, wired it in and created a little tubular thing here that has fans. So there's one that blows out and one that sucks in, and it, the one that sucks in has 3 fans, one for each of the batteries that we have, and then one powerful fan to blow the whole thing out. Basically, it just completely circulates the basement.
Right.
Right.
And so tell our viewers who are brand new to even thinking about solar at all, why is that important for the battery bank?
Because the batteries can get hot, especially in the summertime. You can have a lot of heat build up in your basement during the day, during the heat of the day. So the batteries have tolerances as far as temperatures are concerned, so you have to vent the batteries. It was actually recommended by the manufacturer of our batteries.
What can happen if the batteries are getting too hot and you're not within those tolerances? What's going to happen to the
A thermal overload, basically, and they'll shut down automatically. They won't burn out or anything, but they will turn themselves off, which is...
and you are running a lithium bank, correct?
Oh, lithium bank, correct. Yes, I sure am. Yeah, we went with Fortress batteries, and we'll show you those in just a moment. But yeah, so that we contacted the manufacturer because we noticed that the tolerances were really close to where they said their maximum temperature was supposed to be.
Okay.
So we contacted them, and they logged in and looked at the batteries and said, yes, you're right there. So if you can go ahead and put some fans on your batteries, that'd be great. So we did some computer fans, basically server farm type fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And was it a difficult build?
It was a little challenging, but not very much. No, it's really just PVC pipe, big drain pipe in essence, and then just had to figure out a way to attach fans to that, and how to wire the fans in. So I've got a way to wire them in, like this little false wall right here. I've got a couple of little clips right here. So I
made a little chase.
I made a little chase. So I just disconnect right here. They come off, and then I can take this wall out without affecting anything. Everything is set. Once it's unclipped, I can isolate this wall without anything getting messed up.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Now the fans, is that an Amazon buy?
They are.
So we'll get a link from him, so that we'll put that in the description below. So
Now we can move over here to where we have our battery bank. We've installed what are called Fortress batteries.
Okay.
These are each 48 volt batteries. Each one of them is 5.2 kilowatts of power.
Wow.
So in essence, it gives us 5.4. I'm sorry, 5.4. We're 16.2 kilowatts total on our battery bank.
I don't know if what I'm feeling in there is from the door being open or not, but I do feel substantial heat in there.
That's from the sun coming in here.
sun.
Yeah, the batteries don't throw off a lot of heat. You actually can't feel them radiating.
Gotcha.
But internally, they're actually a fully sealed unit. They're IP65, I think it is, so they're like waterproof.
Wow.
So they do have no venting in the battery itself. So you want to blow some air on them when you have hot conditions to kind of cool them from the exterior. They're fully aluminum encased, so you can cool them from just fanning them.
And where did you source these batteries?
I sourced them from Northern Arizona Wind and Sun.
Okay.
Sure did.
This was so that they're totally, they help you design the system as well?
Yes, yeah, I worked with the engineer directly, James Hall, yeah, James Hall. He worked with me and we came up with this solution. I told him all the things that I wanted to do. I told him I wanted to weld. I told him I wanted to run every single appliance in the rig so that we didn't have any
I'm sorry,
issues.
I just have to say this. When you said, hey James, I want to weld from my RV, what did he say?
You're nuts.
Exactly. But you know what? When Harrison from Enduro Power heard what I wanted to do and helped me set it up, he actually called my system, what was it he said? Absurdly awesome. You know, because, so don't let people tell you that your solar and battery dreams are crazy or what you want to do with them are crazy, because it doesn't matter if they are. There is someone out there like James, or for me it was Harrison, who is going to feel that crazy and want to participate and help you find a way to get it done.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're very pleased with the system. It has performed very well. As with any new system, when you're doing your own engineering design, there are going to be some challenges. And we ran through a few little challenges that we had to walk through, right? We had to learn how the batteries work. We had one little issue with the batteries that was, basically, the battery shut itself off. We didn't know why. It turned out it was a firmware update that corrected it. We did the firmware update and the problem went away. So everything is electronic now, so you're going to run into that.
We had a similar issue with our 24 volt multi-pluses that we had. They had the dongle on them, and the dongle ran an update to them and caused them to crash.
Oh.
And we were in the middle of nowhere with no power. Thankfully, unplugging the dongle fixed it. But now with Arizona Wind and Sun, are they right there with you post-purchase?
Absolutely.
These things with
Yeah,
you?
I contact them and communicate with them frequently because I'm always thinking about other things that I might want to do. One of the upgrades that I did after we did the initial installation was exactly what you're talking about. We had a situation where there was an issue with one of the components. Actually, we got a Victron 240 amp, 240 volt transformer back here behind this wall, and it had a manufacturer's defect. It actually fried internally within 2 weeks of having the thing installed. We were in Phoenix, it was 112 degrees, and we were down. We were completely down. It was a single point of failure in the system. So I went back to Arizona Wind and Sun. I said, I can't have single points of failure. I need to have a backup plan. So how do we make this work? So what they gave me was this switch right here. We installed this switch, which enables us to go to the solar system, which is basically the renewable system, or utility over here. And utility is basically OEM. It puts us back to the OEM settings, and it completely cuts out the entire Victron installation and enables us to have our go back to a utility connection. In other words, we can tie into a pedestal at a campground or whatever, so we can actually be up and running while we're trying to sort out what the problem is.
And that is so dramatically important, and I can't even stress to you guys, people that build most of these systems do not put in a, what I call catastrophic bypass, you know, where he's getting back to utility. And so if you don't have that, and your inverter goes down, or one of your charge controllers needs to be replaced, and you also need to live and, I don't know, have a refrigerator and an air conditioner and all these things and computers like we do, you need to have a bypass. And you can see, if you want to see ours, I need you to click the link below and go watch the latest tour video with Tom and Cherie over at enjoythejourney.life. We have a video over there where we're going through all of our system, and I'm going to show you guys that cutoff that we did a little bit differently the way he did, but just make sure you have one in your system.
It's imperative, because you will have situations. It's not perfect, right? Your lifestyle is what you want, but when you install stuff that's brand new and it's been engineered for the very first time to your specific requirements or to how your lifestyle is, there's going to be bumps in the road, and you're going to have to work through those. So that's what we did with this, is we figured out a solution that gives us that backup opportunity if something goes wrong.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now,
one of the things that you do is you realize you have limited real estate up on the roof, unless you're Josh, and then he just makes a bigger roof. So we have actually 12 panels up on the roof. We have 6 370s and 6 185s. So that gives me 3,300 watts. So what we needed to do, in my estimation, is we had to have an ability to increase that capacity just in case we had really bad weather and we wanted to maybe have just a little bit more, so we could charge up a little bit faster if the clouds were in and all that. So I was looking for real estate. It wasn't on the roof. I didn't think of doing anything on the side of it. So what I decided to do was engineer some some racks underneath the rig and create a solution down there. So I got these pins so that when we're traveling, they don't
Ever I've seen
get lost.
drawer slides.
Drawer slides, they come all the way out and set on the ground, and that gives us an additional 370 times 2, so it puts us up to around 4,000.
When you pull this all the way out and you just lay it flat on the ground?
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So
Again, this is something that I'm working on. I've got a little fix here where I'm going to have it set on the ground. It's got a little stop, so it'll only come out so far and it'll actually stop. So that's something I'm fabricating now, and this will be up and running shortly.
Yeah, this is incredible.
So there's 2 of them underneath there.
I'm gonna get a
yeah,
little shot of this empty one so folks can get an idea of what is happening.
yeah. There's a panel there, but we'll just leave it in for now.
So you can see. Now, what did you secure to underneath here?
I secured to a couple of things. Right over on this side, I had to figure that out on the fly. Right.
Right.
So on this side, I'm actually kind of pinned into the jack over on this side, and I think
Okay.
on the other side as well. I'm kind of on the jack, and then actually up into the subfloor.
Nice.
And then on the other side over there, it's subfloor as well. But I had to put in some additional bracketry and all that to make it work. So
Right.
it was a bit of an engineering challenge. Took me about a week to get it all figured out and then get it installed. And then you had to get panels that were the right size based upon the slide that you got. You had to get everything dialed in. So yeah. It was a challenge, but we got it.
But it's such a creative solution to adding additional wattage, and this is what we're talking about all the time, you guys, is finding creative solutions for the problems. Just because you have a small travel trailer that doesn't have a lot of roof, just because maybe you're in a fiver that has that crazy curve to the back and it's not a flat roof, that doesn't mean you can't do solar, and that doesn't mean if you find the right people, they're going to help you find creative solutions. Or you watch these videos because you hit subscribe below and you hit the bell so you can see all of them. You're going to see more stuff like this that you can do on your rigs as well. What method did you use to attach your solar panels on the roof?
Those are they're tilting racks I have up there, so that I can actually tilt the panels all the way up if necessary, so that I can point at the sun. Like right now it's low. If I wanted to, I could tilt the panels up to point at the sun and get more power into the system. We don't need it because we're fully charged by like 10 in the morning every day.
Yep.
So it's just not necessary out here in the west. The sun's up high and it's clear all the time, so it's really quite easy to charge up your system. And it stays charged right up to sunset, so I don't need to tilt them right now.
You start the evening at 99%. We wake up to 86, 85. What do you guys wake up to?
Oh yeah, we actually wake up to 95 plus, because one of the things that I do, just because it's a habit that I do, we lived off grid for 15 years in our sticks and bricks, so we kind of got that dialed in. We understood how to live solar in essence and renewable. So for this rig, I just decided, well, I'll just turn the inverter off at the end of the day when we don't need to run anything AC anymore. I'll turn the inverter off, and then I just run maybe 2-3% overnight. That's it. That's all that gets drawn down overnight.
Now, tell our folks who are just thinking about this, why does that make the difference?
Well, because you're not running high wattage things. You don't, all your AC little what do they call those little plugs for your chargers and all that, none of that's drawing you down. So
and also too, when your inverter, especially, I mean, let me just say, a 15,000 watt inverter, those things consume energy.
Yep.
So they're going to pull from your batteries regardless if they're creating power for a massive draw or not. And sometimes it's a small parasitic draw, but in this case, I don't know what his is, but I can only imagine that there's quite a bit of power consumed while inverting with their 15,000 watt Victron Quattro.
Yep.
So
it runs
helps
about.
to shut it off. Now I have sleep apnea. I have a machine running. I have a fan I run all night. I never turn off our inverters. So really, it's going to be like what works for you guys. For these guys, it works to shut it off. For us, we don't. So again, it's more of that personal approach.
Yeah.
Figuring out what best works for your system.
Yeah. After 15 years of living off grid, we became very efficient with everything, with all of our power. So it just became a habit. So that habit continues to now, where I just turn the inverter off at night if we're not going to need any AC loads. Yes, the Quattro, it takes about 200 watts continuous when it's in operation. So why waste that at night? I might need that reserve tomorrow, even if it's a tiny bit. But if I didn't turn it off, yeah, we're right around 85, somewhere in there, percent by morning time. So yeah, it consumes some energy overnight. And a lot of those other loads will consume energy as well. Just having the microwave turned on, for instance, it consumes a little bit. All kinds of things consume little loads. So by just shutting off the inverter, since we don't need it when we're sleeping,
Right.
it consumes a little bit of energy. So yeah, it then we don't have that draw at all.
Excellent. Well, such a unique fix for adding additional wattage and additional panels. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm probably going to do it. What do you think, Elizabeth? A few more dollars?
One more project. But we have something on our rig that will allow us to take the extra weight. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out.
Yeah. Click the link below. Go visit Tom and Tree's YouTube channel at enjoythejourney.life. Look for our latest video and watch that, because we've got a surprise over there on how we increased the carrying capacity of our Grand Design Solitude 390 RK so that we could carry a huge battery bank, a ton of solar that you're not even going to believe. So just click that link and go check it out.
So one of the things that I also did for the roof of the RV, because we had an experience. We had a little experience when, well, actually I did. I was heading down the road pulling the rig, and I had somebody flag me down who was going the opposite direction. And he said, one of your panels is up. And my panels raise the long way, not horizontal. They're vertical, not horizontal. So I had a panel sticking up about 3 feet in the air, going down a road, and I was just getting ready to pull onto the freeway, and about a mile down was the first overpass. And he's flagged me down and pulled off, and the panel was sticking straight up in the air like it would normally be if I were tilting the panels. So I decided to go ahead and put extra pins in all the panels to hold them down, so if I had one fail, at least I had a backup pin that would hold the panels all down. And then I also, just because I thought it'd be a good idea, I put a spoiler across the front of all the panels, in the front panels, so that the wind would divert up and over the panels going down the entire rig.
Oh, yeah.
That creates a little less drag and possibly lifting a panel and throwing it off somewhere on the road, which I've heard has happened. People have lost solar panels on the road. Yeah.
When we first finished our system and we were driving down the road for the very first time, every creak, every noise, every bump,
That's
I'm
right.
pulling off the
Yep.
road and I'm running up to look and see what's happening, because I'm like, I imagine 10 solar panels just all over the road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They'd come off in a nice little daisy chain, and all of them would go. Yeah, but no, I decided to put that on there just to get the wind to go up and over. I don't know how far down it actually affects the panels, but I know the front panels, which is the ones that catch the most wind, are now safe. They're not going to come off.
Right.
So yeah.
And our panels, the way that we have them set, ours do not tilt at all. So we are less concerned with some of the wind drag. In fact, I do enjoy the wind under there because it cools the panels, especially in hot environments, and that cooling effect actually can increase your efficiency, because when panels get hot, just like everything else, like the batteries, like the inverters, like everything, they're going to start to degrade a little bit in performance. But if you have them tilting, more pins, more spoilers.
Exactly.
So we've been talking a lot about the outside stuff, but I'm going to pass it off to Elizabeth now.
So if you're a lady watching this, you're probably dying to see what's inside the RV. If they made all these awesome modifications to the outside and to the system, I bet they did some cool things inside as well. So Elizabeth, did your husband do some cool things inside your rig to make life a little easier for you as well?
He did a few things. I guess we'll have to go on inside and see.
Yeah, show
Check
me.
them out.
All right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, for a minute on you. Love your carpet there.
Oh, thank you.
Are we at
Welcome in. This is our home on wheels, our tiny home on wheels, which we love. We went to a Fontana show out in California, and we were looking at different models of Grand Design. And as soon as I walked into this model, I started crying, actually. I walked up and I saw this beautiful kitchen, and I love to cook. And all the room in here, it's so wide, it's very wide open, and the windows everywhere. Yeah. It lets so much sunlight in here and brightness compared to other RVs. So we're very happy with that.
You guys can keep talking.
I see that you guys added a mantle onto there as well.
Yes, that is very special to me. My brother actually made that, and my husband helped out. So that's very special. It's handmade, and it's a floating shelf. So that was in Lilburn, Georgia.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you have a lot of pictures on the wall. I know that that's something that a lot of RVers get nervous about. How do I put up pictures and make it feel like a home,
Yes.
but not have to worry about them breaking? So what's your solution?
Well, if you use command strips, which help out a lot, we have command strips on the back of our pictures here. And I tried to be a little creative. There was a mirror on this wall, which I really didn't care for. So we took that down. And I wanted to have a little brightness here on this dark wall. So I came up with this design of putting rope on the back of a picture frame. And then I had Mark go ahead and screw these little hooks up
And do those
underneath the
stay,
counter.
or do you take them down when you travel?
I do take them down. I do have this right here. And if I fold two together on top of each other, all four of them fit right in there.
Perfect.
And then I set that on the chair here.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing too,
Yes.
is that you have your system for your packed out. Is if you're traveling a lot, if you're not super stationary and you're moving every week, 2 weeks, month, you need to have efficient, fast, and consistent pack downs.
Yes.
So having a way, I take these, I do this, they go here, it goes here,
Yes.
will really speed up that process and make your life a little bit more enjoyable.
Exactly, exactly. In an RV, I've always said there is a place for everything. So
Absolutely.
when we do travel, everything goes back in the same exact spot. You cannot rush to get out of the RV. You do have to follow the same pattern every single time about putting things back where they belong, so you won't have things falling out and getting damaged, because this is your home.
Yeah, and when you don't follow the system, like we've had some times where, oh, we're not going very far, and we'll just do it real quick, and we don't really go through our pattern,
Yes.
things get missed. And
That's
then
true.
sometimes you get lucky and it's okay, and sometimes you have something to repair when
That
you get
is
there.
true. That is true.
So to help you guys with this, especially if you're just getting started, or if you've been RVing and you're like, I don't have a good system, I'm not consistent, there'll be a link below in the description to our departure and arrival checklist. You can, of course, customize it to the things that apply to you, your lifestyle, and your rig, but it'll give you a good place to start.
So up here is the kitchen, and as you all know, we have the same model that you two have.
The heart of the home.
The heart of the
But
home.
isn't it interesting? Same model, but yet so different.
Yes.
Not just decor, but a lot of different things, because both of us have customized it to our needs and our desires.
Exactly. So we have a propane fridge. We decided to go that route instead of residential, only because if we're out and about and something happens with the electrical, then we can go ahead and switch over to propane. And,
That makes sense. And we've
yes.
had that happen. We've had problems where we were our fridge was without power for a few hours.
Yes.
Back before
That's
we got some
devastating.
things fixed with our solar, yeah.
Yeah, that's devastating. So we really enjoy this type of setup on the fridge. So we have the freezer at the top and the fridge down below. Love, love, love. My burners over here in the range. Yes.
Super.
And this is great because our rig, I think, was one of the very first ones that they put this full-size residential range and oven in, and our slide was taller than this, and so our range is pretty high. So yours is at that nice, I'll call it normal height.
Yes.
A little easier for cooking
Yes,
when you
go
have a
right
big
to
stock
it,
pot.
and then, yeah, everything's right here. So love it, plenty of room. And actually, I've used about 3 out of the 4 burners, pretty much. I am vegetarian, so I do cook a lot of
I don't
vegetables.
think we have ever used this burner to
Oh,
any
really?
degree. Have you used that one?
Oh yes, yes. I have little pots, and I do use that a lot. Just to cook a small amount of vegetables. So yes, that gets used a lot. Yes.
So we've got a nice Berkey filter here.
Got to have a Berkey on the road. It is. Well, actually, just for an example, I went to visit my cousin in Sebring, Florida, and she said the water is horrible there.
Yeah.
Don't drink it at all. And we already had our Berkey. We've had it the whole year and a half that we've been on the road. So I went ahead and made a point to fill this up consistently while we were there in town, so we can have filtered water and good drinking water. You never want to go into a town without making sure that the water is drinkable. It's just best to get a Berkey because that way you're guaranteed to have some safe water and no chemicals in there too.
We had a stay, we were about 2 weeks outside of Detroit, Michigan, and we were in a campground, a commercial campground with full hookups. This was before we got our solar. And the water there, it stained our water filters orange. We had a 3-stage water filter, and it stained them orange because of what was in it. And so even when you're at a place like, well, the campground should be, I mean, it should be safe. I'm paying for drinkable water.
That's right.
But you just don't know. And you don't know even, like, when was that spot last used? Is there any rust or any residue or there in it that's now going to be in your drinking water? So I think that's an awesome addition.
And, and one tip or trick that I do all the time when staying in a park or using a water source that I've never used before, I open the valve and I let it run for 30 seconds to a minute or so I can let it evacuate anything that may be accumulating in that pipe if it hasn't been used for a very long time, and then we hook up and go.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, tell us about this countertop, because the countertop we have in ours is not one of the things I love the most about our rig.
Yes, as soon as we came into the rig, we noticed that there was a wood countertop here, and everything else was the white countertop. So that was one of the first changes that we did here in the rig. So we called Grand Design and we got the name of the fabricator, and we got in contact with them, and we are the very first customers that went ahead and replaced the wood countertop. So we went to Indiana, we went ahead and picked it up ourselves, and my husband brought it in and he screwed it into the wood. We did leave the wood countertop there, and we placed this on top of the wood countertop. I was
noticing to see it has a slightly thicker bevel than the rest of the countertops. That's to be level then with the rest of the wood as it got screwed in.
But this way we're not scratching the countertop, wood countertop. Absolutely. And actually, as far as aesthetics go, it just fits right in.
Well, and it brightens the space.
Yes, it sure does.
In RVs, we're often dealing with things like dark woods, and in this kitchen, I'm a little upset to see your window open because ours doesn't, and so things like that.
I wish ours opened. Our kitchen window, there's no screen and it has no ability to open. It's just a permanently closed window.
Oh, permanently closed, like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no, other than the Max Air fan, there's no ventilation in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So this is amazing. Yeah.
Well, we bought. We picked up our rig in June of 2020, and it is a 2021 model though, so I didn't know we had that difference in ours.
We got ours in April of 2020, so it looks like it's just about a 2-month difference.
Yeah.
Ours is also a 2021, but April 2020 because they were doing next year's model nice and early.
It is interesting when you go maybe a few months or 6 months with one rig to the other, and you'll notice all these different changes. But I know Grand Design is very good about listening to their customers and seeing what they do want and the changes that they want made in a rig.
Absolutely.
And so some of us love the other models, some parts of it, and then not so much. But we actually love this.
That's something. For whatever the feature it is, there's going to be someone who loves it and someone who doesn't love it.
Right.
Whether it's dark or light or faux or real or, all the different changes, there's always going to be people who love it or people who are like, no, I wish it was that way. Or one other thing I noticed, you replaced your handles.
We did. We had the other original handles, and they had a more squared off look to them, and also
like they would stick out and catch. I've had that happen on me where it'll grab my clothing as I walk by.
Especially on hiking clothes, and where you have the side pockets, and you walk down the hallway and into the bedroom there in the dresser, or out here in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I'd be walking and it's like, oh, you're not going anywhere. Stop right now. And so I think there were 52 or 53 handles that we had to go and buy, and we replaced all of them. Mark did the job of doing that, but we love it because it's just a nice soft feel now, and it's rounded, and it won't get caught on any clothing
beautiful.
too. Thank you. Like that a lot.
So I'm curious, have you guys had any issues like some of us have had with the pantry drawers, and what did you do for that?
Yes. Well, while we were traveling on the road, a lot of times we would come in and these two doors would be like flopped open.
Yep.
And then our drawers would be out.
Yep.
So what we did was we went ahead on Amazon and we
perfect.
bought these. And so before traveling, we go and we latch our drawers. So that way everything's safe and it won't come flying out
Yes.
and break.
Yeah, that's
Again,
wonderful.
something else that we
Yes.
feel like should be standard on these.
Exactly.
A closure that holds those, because we put canned goods in there and it just comes
Heavy.
flying out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's-
We've even found we've had some one night stays on places where we're not the most level. Maybe we were staying hooked up to the
Yes.
truck and we weren't worrying about being perfectly level.
Yeah.
And you open the drawers and they just come flying out.
Yes.
So now with that lock, you can just unlock the one you're opening and then lock it back
Exactly,
up.
exactly,
And then you're not
yeah.
gonna get hit in the
Yes.
legs with the drawers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love that. That has saved us from any more damage here. We did replace the chairs.
Beautiful.
We had some wood chairs before, and they were kind of wobbly, so we decided to go ahead and exchange those out and get
And
these
you
two.
put your fly swatter basically the same place
Basically,
as us.
ours is on the other side.
Just stick a little
Yes,
hook there and there you go.
exactly.
The
Yeah.
axis, but not in sight.
Right. There you go. That's
Yeah.
true. Yes.
Awesome.
I think that's it. Well, down here. Yes, that's right, in here. So to make things easier,
Oh.
you can get this, and that way you can have your pots and pans. I don't have very many pots and pans,
Right.
but this way you can go ahead and
Yeah.
roll this right out
Yeah.
and get your pots and pans that you need.
And I found in an RV, you don't need to have 15 different pots. And
No,
pans.
you don't.
You just have your staples, and when
Exactly.
you finish using them, you wash them,
That's right.
and
Now,
it's fine.
Originally, Grand Design put the trash can there, so now I'm curious, where's the trash can?
Trash can is right here.
Awesome.
And
Nice.
you know what? I was thinking about getting a rack to
Yeah.
go ahead and slide out the trash can, but I thought, I can just pull it out if I really needed
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
so I don't worry about that.
And
But
it's funny, in ours, it's exact opposite.
Yeah.
We have trash can here, and then we have pots and pans here with a slide out. So
Yeah.
very similar use of those types of spaces.
well, a lot of times I'm here cutting the vegetables, or here, washing things up. And if I
Absolutely.
do need to throw something away real quick, open, toss.
Yeah,
So
really
it's convenient for me. So I wanted to make it very
Makes sense.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I ask, are you guys retired? Do you work from the road?
Yeah, we're
or-
retired.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We actually, funny enough, we often get asked if we're retired. Because
Or how
obviously
long-
you can't
or
be full-time in
how
an
long
RV.
we have been retired
Yeah.
for.
You
There you
can't
go.
live full-time in an RV and not be retired, and we're like, that's totally not right.
Right.
It does give other considerations, what days you move or what time or how long you
Yes.
stay places. You have to
definitely.
think about it differently, but it can be done.
Yes, definitely.
So, our Touch 50. Maybe we'll get to.
Oh, Mark can
I
come in and
thought
do.
about putting ours right here, and then we didn't do it.
Yeah, it's very convenient. You don't have to open a cabinet door to get to it. It's just, I think my husband, every time he walks by here to go to the kitchen or this way, it's always
checks it.
tap and look and see what's,
99%.
yeah, what's going
Yeah.
on there. It's just a habit of his.
Yeah. And you don't need to be charging much. They shut down on their own after they get full because there's no reason to be producing more
Right.
energy.
That's
It's
true.
not being used.
Yeah. No, we're real happy with it because,
that
like Mark,
Yeah. Just
like Mark said, we're like at 99% in the mornings, sometimes by 11 o'clock.
Wow.
If we're out in an environment like this and
Yeah.
you're getting full charge,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, and even if you have a rainy, cloudy day, you don't have to worry you're not going to run out of energy. You don't have to pull out the generator because you're still fine.
Right, and he taught me like years ago, I think with our house too, because I said, oh, I'm afraid, can I do the microwave and can I do this or that or turn that on? And he'll say, Elizabeth, if you could see your shadow over your hand like this, that means you're getting some light.
Yeah.
We're charging still, it's okay.
Yeah.
If it's completely dark and you're not getting any shadow showing, then yeah, we're not charging. So I
Yeah,
learned that.
we do, even with, though we have so much solar, we still try to have that mentality
Definitely.
of when should I do certain things.
Yes.
So if I'm running laundry and I saw a vent on the outside, so I assume you have the stackable vented
Yes.
washer dryer.
Yes.
Wouldn't want to full time without it.
Right.
But when I'm doing laundry, I like to think about, okay, the washer doesn't take that much energy, but the dryer does.
Mm-hmm.
So I should do my loads maybe late morning so that it can be drying and pulling all that energy, because I dry it on high. At least that's the way I do it. It seems to be more effective and dry faster. And then I can do it in that peak time of the day, and I know that the solar will replace everything I used.
Yes, exactly. I love having the washer dryer in here. I wouldn't be full timing without a washer and dryer.
Me either.
No.
Even with the boondocking, and people think, well, how could you do that when
Yes.
boondocking? Like, it doesn't take that much water,
No.
and you can do a load here and there and not run out.
Right.
You know, so it's really nice.
Exactly.
Not having to go to a laundromat and
Exactly. And you're doing your laundry in your own home.
Yeah.
This is your home.
Yeah.
And
factor.
exactly.
And putting the clothes away. We're talking about not even walking, just reaching one direction or another to the closet or the drawers.
That's
it's
right.
so easy.
That's right. We love living minimally now. We came from a large home and property, and a lot of maintenance, a lot of care went into that. But we put our heart and soul into building that home from ground up. And it was a big tug on my heart when we first left. But once you get on the road, you know, time heals, and it gets out of your mind like, okay, that was a past life. This is our life now, and I just love it. You have a different backyard or front yard every week if you want to, or every other day if you want to. It depends on how much you travel. And so we love living this way, and we love living minimally now too. You don't need a lot of things in life. And I think there's a movement going on out there, and people are realizing it, that you don't need a lot of things to live and be happy.
Yeah. And when you have pared down the things that you keep, you realize, oh, these are the things that are really important to me.
Right, yeah.
And now you get to enjoy them because
Yes.
they're not lost in the clutter of all of the unimportant things.
Right.
They're the things that you see and interact with and use on a daily basis.
Yes.
And you get that daily joy out of that thing that has meaning to you.
That's right. And the thing is, we said our kids are our life. So as long as you can travel at different times a year to see them, if they're far away, usually you couldn't see them very often. But we can make the path, you know, to go and visit them, you know,
Absolutely.
and as often as we want to.
Yeah.
They might not want us to, but
But, you know, even when you go, it's like you don't have to feel like you're imposing because you're bringing your own house with
That's
you.
right.
They don't have to put you up. You don't have to deal with a hotel. You can go visit them for a week or 2 months.
Right.
And you know what? If it's a little too close, then maybe you park somewhere that's 20 minutes away, not
Exactly.
right there, and you guys can be living your life and seeing each other a few times a week, and they can still feel like they have their space.
Exactly.
We've done that several times, and that's been really nice. 'Cause
Yes.
we couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
When it was about getting a plane ticket or a car ride and taking time off work and then having to rush back and
Right.
you know, having a house to take care of
Yes.
that you don't want to be away from for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a whole different approach when you can take your house with you.
And I've told so many people on the road too that aren't full timers. You know, when you're in the work environment at home and you only have 2 weeks to go somewhere to visit a state or a city that you've been looking forward to going and seeing, you know, and you get back, you know, that's all the time that you've had there at that state. And then you're like, well, I'm wondering what's going on in the other states, what there is to look at and tour around and see. And there are places that we've seen here on this journey that we've taken the last year and a half. You know, would we take a vacation to Tennessee? What's exciting in Tennessee? Or Michigan or, you know, Florida. We have ventured out in all these states, and we have found that there are some gorgeous places out there that we would have never have gone to on vacation, that we didn't think we would go to on vacation. And here we've missed out, but now we're not missing out.
That's amazing.
That you're a bit of an addict like me, and every time I walk by my Touch 50, touch it and I check my
Every
levels.
single time I go back, I touch it. I sure do. I want to know what's going on.
So show us what this is and what it means to your system.
Oh, great. Yeah, so the Touch 50 gives me, it's called the Cerbo in Victron terminology. And the Cerbo tells me everything that's happening. I literally know what power is coming into the panels right now. It's the sun's coming down, so we got 106 watts roughly at the panels coming in off the panels because the sun is at an extremely low angle. Right. If I were to tilt the panels, however, I'd probably be jumping that back up to 2,000 watts.
Right.
Because the sun would be pointing right at the panels. But we don't need it. We're at 98% right now. And we've got all kinds of things running right now, so that's the reason that's happening. But yeah, touch again. It tells me what's going into the batteries. It tells me what's coming out of the batteries from a load perspective. So it gives me all the information that I need. When we plug into a pedestal at a campground, I can see exactly what's going on from the pedestal. I can see how much power is being drawn into the rig, how many kilowatts are being drawn into the rig. And if I don't like what I see, I can actually throttle that up a little bit or throttle that down a little bit, depending on what the necessary requirements are. And I have to be very careful with that because if I throttle it up, I can literally burn out a breaker at the park. Because of a 15,000 watt inverter up front, I can draw up to 15,000 watts. And a 50 amp breaker, that's no bueno. They don't like that. It gets to about 7, 8. If you're lucky,
you'd need to dog bone like two pedestals together.
That's right. Oh, that's an idea.
Right?
I'll think that one over. Yeah, that's really important. That you don't want to burn out the park's pedestal. That's not the point here. It's just to get yourself charged up,
right?
And move on if that's the case. Or if you're staying at a park, just throttle it to where it works for the park, and you're not drawing too much current. But we don't really need it because we got all that up on the roof and that battery down below. So we typically don't even plug into parks. A lot of times we don't plug in at all. We just try to camp.
When we built our first system, all we had was a battery monitor. We did not have the Cerbo, we did not have the Touch 50, and we had no idea how much information we were not getting until we got this, and then we realized it was such a wealth of information, and not just the information, but the ability, I can check it on my phone. If we're in town and I want to make sure the power is still on, I check it and make sure everything's running. If I need to make a change, I can do that virtually and then do it right here from the panel.
That's right.
And it is worth every penny.
Yep, sure is. Yeah, it's a minor addition to the cost and a major addition to the information that you need to run your system effectively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are about to look at the brain center where all this magic is coming together for his solar system down in his front bay. So start telling us, Mark, starting over there, what kind of battery do you currently have in the front of your rig?
This is a single AGM 12 volt.
Okay,
so
is it what came with the rig?
No, it is not. We added this. This is actually a Victron AGM. We went with all Victron stuff.
Okay.
So, well, not all, but mostly Victron stuff.
Right.
So this is an AGM from Victron. The system maintains this battery. The 48 volt bank that I have maintains this battery. And
you have an Orion, I'm assuming?
Yes, we have two Orions actually. Yeah, two Orions, which are very necessary to 48 volt system.
That are running 48 volt systems or higher, or even if you're in a 24 volt system, multiple Orions to generate more 12 volt is really important because you don't want to be in a situation where you can't bring your slides in, or you can't operate your hydraulic jacks because you've overwhelmed. I personally have burnt out an Orion running on a 24 volt system all by itself. But I can attest to the necessity of having two.
Yep. Before we did this, we did the same thing, and it's no fun when your jacks don't work and you're boondocking out in the middle of nowhere and it's 9 degrees. It's no fun.
So I'm going to go ahead and get us a closer look here. All right, so tell me what's going on here.
You bet. Okay, so we have, in essence, we have 3 charge controllers. You'll notice one's not on right now because I don't have that connected. Nothing's connected to it, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. That's an ongoing project that we're going to be finishing up here pretty soon.
Okay.
I've got the 2 Orions right here. I've got our Smart Battery Protect right here, which basically keeps an eye on our battery bank to make sure that they're nominal, everything's running properly, and we don't have any failures, right? Then we have a couple of breakers here. This is the set of breakers that we use for the charge controllers.
Okay.
And this is the set of breakers that keeps us, well, let's see, this one keeps us for the actual panels. This is where we can cut the panels off.
Gotcha.
Separately if we would like to do that. So this gives us basically full control of everything that's going on with the system. You'll notice we don't have like battery switches and things like that where you can switch from one bank to the next because we don't have that kind of a setup here. You can actually bypass that kind of additional equipment in here based upon the way we installed this.
Okay.
So going right along here, so this is my main panel, right? This is the main.
So clean.
The main, and this gives me all the control that I need from a breaker perspective of the system. And you'll notice over here I have a twin 175 amp breakers. That's, yes, 350 amps possible with this rig. Yeah,
so much.
Yeah, it's a beast. It's one of the big ones, I guess you would say. It has a little inverter up here. Little inverter up here.
First of all, the fact that he says a little inverter, that is an understatement. I need to show this to you guys. When he first told me that he had this, I thought, it just doesn't make any sense. When I got twin 5000 V8 Quattros for 4,000 watts each, I thought, man, we're killing it. Let me show you how we aren't even a blip on his inverter radar. Look at this. Look at this.
That's a 15,000 watt Quattro.
I mean, come on.
It is
I can't even get it in frame.
Yeah, it pumps out the power. It keeps our entire rig running, and we can run virtually every single device in the rig simultaneously.
15,000 watts. Now, in comparison to those of you who think I have a massive system at 8, you've got nearly double me. I mean,
yeah, but your panels are way over me.
So tell them real quick, what is the one thing that you can run on this system that I guarantee no other RV on the planet can run?
Okay, well, if you come over here and take a peek over on this side, this is a separate transformer, 240 volt transformer. It allows me to run single phase 50 amp. So typically with an RV you have split phase 50 amp.
Right.
And I wanted something a little bit more because I wanted to be able to weld off of from my rig.
Okay, you didn't just have a stroke. You heard him say he wanted to weld from his RV. Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So this enables me to do that. So with the Quattro 15,000 watt inverter, I have the ability to run, like I said, a large amount of amperage.
Yeah.
I can run the entire RV and my 50 amp BuzzBox welder simultaneously. Literally, I can run them all at the same time if I wanted to. I'd never do that, but I could.
Can you tell our viewers, what is something that you weld?
Well, I'm actually just kind of a hobbyist.
Okay.
I don't actually weld for a business or anything like that. It's just something that I like to do. So, and it's also kind of handy when you're out in the middle of nowhere and something breaks and you need to put it back together, and you can't get a hold of somebody because, again, you're maybe 50 miles off the beaten path. I can just pull out my welder and do it myself right on the spot.
So, what I want to just talk about for just a second is something he just said. Something I like to do, I desire to do. I want everyone to know out there, all of you Pathfinders that are watching our videos, following us, because you know for us taking action is very important, but taking action on things that you also enjoy, right? Things that you thought, maybe I'm going to have to give up sewing, or maybe I'm going to have to give up welding, or maybe I'm going to have to give up whatever insert that you love to do. I'm here to tell you you don't have to. There's a way to find a way to incorporate that into your RV, incorporate it into your life, and really just take it with you as you go on your journey.
So what I do is I come off the extra outlet that I have, 50 amp single phase outlet that I had installed inside the rig, which is tied directly into the inverter, 15,000 watt inverter, and then just bring basically a homemade cable that I brought in, plug in the welder to that here, and in essence that powers up the welder, and then I set up and go. Mid-production for 2 months during the pandemic, so we couldn't take delivery of the rig for a period of time. So we were stuck, and at the same time we were going through the pandemic issues with trying to sell the house.
Right.
That was causing problems. So all kinds of things.
And
were
how do
going
you
on
sell a
simultaneously.
house and all the furniture during COVID?
Yeah.
No one wants to buy furniture and decor and
Yeah.
all that.
Right.
And so we were very fortunate where we had the buyer, we had a full price offer, and that kind of went by the wayside because he wasn't going to transfer from one state to California.
Because of COVID, they canceled all transfers. Yeah.
So that went by the wayside. So our buyer came in and he walked in the house and he said, I want everything. I want your decor. I want your furniture. I want it all just
I want
like
your
it
off-grid
is.
house.
perfect.
And,
Yes.
everything. Yeah.
So
Took it all.
everything.
It took it all.
Took it all.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it just worked out, and
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
So you guys originally were already living off grid,
That's right.
right? So the solar and batteries and none of that was new to you. But what made you decide that it was time to leave the house behind, leave the sticks and bricks that you had built and modified over the years, and go to an RV?
I'll let you take that one.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe I was the instigator of this.
I think you were.
think so?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
We've been watching YouTube videos
Mhm.
and all the full-time RVers, probably for like a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Mhm.
Ahead of time. Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh, look at all the places that these people are going. And I was so used to RVing because I've been brought up in a family that went RVing all the time. So I love the adventure side of it. And so I thought, oh no, there's so much maintenance there at our home and our property that it was just, you're working to help finance your home.
That's it. Yeah, you're
That's it.
every dime you put into you make from a job. I was consulting at the time, so every dime I was making was going into the house, and insurance was going up. We lived in brush country, all kinds of things that kind of built up to the decision that this might be more fun. The kids had moved out. We're in a big 4,000 square foot house. Why do two people need to be in a 4,000 square foot house on 10 acres? We all these things kind of came to a head, and we said, you know what, we could probably do this. We could kind of live tiny and live in an RV and go see the world and just travel in our retirement. So I retired, and what was it? 2 weeks later, we were on the road. Yeah, it was like
That's
done and done.
We kind of experienced a whirlwind situation too, where we had decided on a drive back from Christmas with Elizabeth's family in Tucson.
Ringing in the new year of 2020.
Yeah, even before all this happened, that we wanted to downsize and start, getting into a tiny home. At that point, we weren't even sure what we would get, but we knew we just wanted to get a way to do things. And I think one thing, I think you made this statement that we were looking back at our first year and we're like, it seems like we did 5 years worth of things in 1 year based on how much we did in the prior years, right? Contrasted, we squeezed so much life out of that first year in the RV that it made, I remember we were talking about, you said something like, we'd have never had time to do this before. And I said, that's incorrect. We had the same amount of time then that we have today. However, we made priority choices to use that time for work and other things that we didn't get to enjoy anything. And so now we're making just different choices with the time we have.
Absolutely true. Yeah. It's absolutely true. You find yourself, like I said, you find yourself kind of realizing that, well, living the dream, right? Living the U.S. dream of having home ownership and having land and all that kind of stuff is important, but there are things that are more important. Being happy is more important. Working, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. That's true. I know some people that are in that boat, but I wasn't there. I wasn't. I just loved my job. I worked in order to support my my lifestyle. So I decided that's not really for me anymore. I want to get out there and see the world and see some things and change the way we do it. And a lot of the YouTube channels kind of gave us that, right?
Push.
Well, the push, right? The encouragement, but also some of the solutions that were necessary to see how that could be done.
Because there's so much to consider, when you make this transition. It gets a little sensationalized and a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Dramatized?
Not dramatized. They make it look fantastic.
Yeah.
And so
Like
there's
unachievable. That can't be real.
Well, yeah, and then there's no negative downside. And really, when you get into it, there are lots of things, and especially when you have alternative power sources, we introduce a myriad of new maintenance issues. But that doesn't mean it's not worth the net win that you get from the traveling and getting to see people.
That's right. Yeah, you run into things like your foundation of your house is wheels, right?
Right.
And tires have blowouts.
Right.
We just had one, so we've got some insurance that's going to be picking up some of the tab for a big blowout that we had just about a week ago. So things do happen. Things do break. Life goes on. You still live, your life, and life throws things at you every once in a while, and you just have to deal with them.
How long have you guys been full-timing?
We went on
June
the road.
of 20.
Yeah, June of 2020. Yeah.
So very near, close to, not too far away from our initial date.
Yep.
Yeah.
It does seem a long time ago because so much gets squeezed into it.
We've been so many places. It's,
I was going to say, if you're traveling often, then it does seem like you've been on the road for a year.
In a year and a half, we've been East Coast, West Coast twice now.
Right.
And we've seen, and everywhere we go, we see many more things, and we experience many more things. We've experienced tornadoes that we've never had to experience before. We've experienced hurricanes, and we've experienced tropical storms and things like that. So there's all kinds of things that you don't experience when you're living where we were in Southern California, and you have to adjust to those things. So it becomes very. It's part of the journey, right?
Right.
It really is part of the journey.
But you also have that benefit of, if the weather forecast says this is going to happen, sometimes you can be like, all right, I'm going to hitch up and go.
Go someplace.
Pull
We did that
anchor.
in Montana. They were getting ready to have the place we were boondocking over the weekend. They were expecting to have like a foot or two of snow.
Yeah.
And we hitched up and headed south.
Yeah, we'll find warmer
And
weather.
so it's nice to be able to do that.
That's right. That's right.
Well, what would you guys say has been something that you enjoy that maybe you didn't expect, like getting into this lifestyle? Was there any surprises that you're like, oh, I actually like that, hadn't thought about it?
You take that one.
Oh, well, Daddy went along with me,
There's one.
and we're still married.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we're still married.
Yeah.
And we're having fun. Yes, probably the first 6 months, I was a little bit worried that he might back out on me because of getting used to
Not
this.
of the marriage.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, I'd say you have to meet me down the road or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting started and just getting adjusted to the maintenance, or the traveling, or the path that you're taking, where are you going, and the reservations, all the things that you have to commit to keep this journey going. And living in 400 square feet with each other too. Luckily, we've
That is
been
an
best.
adjustment.
And luckily we've been best friends, and going on 38 years, February 11th. So we've been very close, and you have to be. And you have to have fun on this journey. You really do.
We've experienced that. It's very difficult to slam the doors in here when you're angry. They don't slam well.
The kitchen.
And you can either pout in the bedroom, right, or go outside.
Well, the doghouse is outside.
Yeah, right.
His doghouse is in the garage that you just slide out.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a bedroom unto
Take your
itself.
mattress there.
There's that. I mean, we've done quite well. I think the adjustment, like she said, 6 months. We had some issues with the rig that were very, very taxing. A lot of things that we had to get fixed. And we finally got them fixed out in Indiana. And once we got those all fixed, it was like all those stresses and concerns evaporated.
Yeah.
Right. And now it was just all fun and life. There was other things that we had to do. So there were challenges, of course.
Sure.
There still are. But we're getting used to those challenges. It's not all fairy dust and
Well,
things you got to deal with.
it's a completely different rhythm of life,
Right.
and you can't come into this RVing full time and expect to replicate the rhythm of life you had in a sticks and bricks or a rental house or apartment or whatever, because there are new things you have to inject into it. There are old things you used to do that you can't do anymore, and so that's jarring, physically and emotionally, because when you no longer have the safety net of doing the same thing every day, that can affect you, and affect relationships. And so it is, we do love what we do, don't get us wrong, but just know coming into this that it can be challenging. Now we don't have kids, their kids are moved away, but we know other people who full time with 5 and 6 kids in these RVs of the same size. That boggles my brain.
Yes.
But they love it and they enjoy it, and I'm sure they have their ups and downs, but it's about adapting, like you had said, adapting to the new circumstance.
That's right.
Exactly. And the sacrifices totally outweigh
For sure.
everything else 1,000%. I would not trade this in. We thought, okay, we'll get the rig and we'll try it for a year, maybe a year and a half, and we'll see what happens. If we go and buy another or build another sticks and bricks, and then we have the RV to travel in on vacations, okay.
Yeah.
And here we're going on almost 2 years, and we don't see an end to it.
No, not at all. I see this going on for at least another 5 because there's so much to see. You have,
Absolutely.
when you're taking vacations, you have there's what 52 weeks in a year, right? So you're working. You only get 2 weeks vacation. Well, we get to do this all the time. We don't. We're not on vacation. We're not on vacation. We live in this. This is our home. But we change our front and backyard as frequently as
we always we say we change our office windows. Our scenery.
We change it just, and sometimes we change it because it's necessary. Other times we change it because we just want to.
Right.
And we're able to take walks every day. We can go walking for miles in some of these boondocking spots. You can literally go for miles
Bike
and miles.
riding, we have e-bikes too, also. But I think the biggest adjustment for anyone getting into this is the first 6 months you go there and you want to go see Mackinac Island, Michigan, or go down to Florida and Disney or wherever, and you kind of feel like, oh, we're on vacation, and you tend to spend a lot of money for 6
You have to
months.
tamp that down.
So you
Yes.
really have to say,
We
this
went
is
through
a
that.
lifestyle, a
Yes.
complete change, and this is our living. This is our home. We have to act like it is our home and do our daily routine like we would in the sticks and bricks.
And we've had to explain that to other people when we go visit them, whether it's relatives or friends. and they think that we're there and we should be going out and doing all these fun touristy things while we're visiting.
Right.
And we have to explain, no, this is like, we're not on vacation. There are things we need to do. For us, we're still working, so we still have to have that time.
Right.
So yeah, we want to see you. We want to go do, you know, the fun things and the awesome things that there are here.
Right.
But we have to tamper that with living our regular lives in a sustainable way.
And working,
Exactly.
yeah, and working. If you're working, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Because it is. It's
And
your
eating
house.
out as well. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people get caught up into. I know there are a lot of foodies out there, and we love different types of foods ourselves. But to go out there, you know, this is your home. You have a big enough kitchen.
Right.
And a lot of people have, and I've seen this on YouTube channels too. They have had people come up to them and say, well, how do you cook in an RV? I mean, what do you guys eat? You know, thinking that they're eating little chickens. Or
We
something.
eat
No,
ramen, Maruchan ramen, and frozen fish sticks, and that's all we get.
Chicken
You know,
pot pies.
chicken pot pies in the
We
microwave.
eat like everybody else
Exactly.
does in a home. I
The
can
chef's
bake.
kitchen
I
back
can
Nice
there.
Well,
little fridge.
You guys were over at our rig earlier today. What was I pulling out when you came in? A loaf of bread. A loaf of
Yes,
bread,
and
right?
it smelled delicious.
Last night you were over at our rig and we smoked racks of ribs.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
To some degree, I think we actually eat better now in the RV than we did even at home, because we would buy a lot of pre-prepared meals or like some of those keto meals, you know, that
you
would
can
come.
quick run to work, take it with
You know,
pop it in
and
the microwave.
that was our lunch and dinner types, and now we eat more proteins, more smoked
Yeah.
meats, and we make more things at home.
And we found that one of the reasons we like boondocking, especially kind of remote boondocking like this, as opposed to always being in parks in town, is if we're a little bit further away from those restaurants, we're even more motivated to eat our own food.
Yep.
And it's not that whole, "Oh, I'm tired,"
Well, the laziness
and
in you is
there's
like,
a
"Oh, but it's
whatever
just 10
restaurant
minutes
5
away."
minutes down the
Yeah.
road, you know, and it's
Exactly.
like, well, right where we are right now, it's 30-40 minutes to really get to any restaurants of
Well,
consequence.
Let's be honest. It's the weekend. There's a hot dog cart, not more than
Okay, well,
10 minutes from here.
but it's, you know, if you're going out to eat, you drive into town, you go out to eat, you buy your load of groceries, and then you come back, and now you can be here, be with your family, and
Right.
be, you know, spend time,
Yeah.
and
Watch the sunset.
exactly.
Watch the sunrise.
We rise pretty early in the morning, and so we see the sunrise most every day, and we see the sunset most every day, and that is something precious, you know, that you experience. You know, I sometimes get most of my work done before 9 a.m. and then I'll do rig projects and, you know, and maintenance-y
Fun
things,
stuff.
right? That's I have an expensive habit of just modifying our rig. Just watch a few videos, you'll catch on. But, well, Mark and
And then
Elizabeth,
I was just going to interject only one little part, because in case anyone out there is wondering, we're vegetarians. And so if anyone's getting into this and they're kind of wondering, well, I'm vegan or I'm vegetarian. Yes, you can go to different grocery stores and buy all the fruits and vegetables. And you know what? We eat and we cook just like everybody in the sticks
That's
and
right.
bricks too.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter if you're vegan,
Yeah.
vegetarian, or
Right.
you're a meat eater or anything
There's always
like
some
that
place
too.
that
Yeah.
has what
Yes.
you need. Yeah,
And
she's
we've
had no issues
we've
finding.
been to some really amazing farmers markets driving around
Right.
Yes,
too.
Yeah.
us
You know, you
too.
see the little signs, or you can
Yes.
go online and see what's
Love it.
around, and you find the most amazing things
Yes.
that you've never tried, or just home fresh. That
Produce.
can be a really nice
Yeah.
change to your diet as well. Getting
Right.
to try out some types of cheeses I've
Yeah,
never had.
local food, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Something
local honeys.
From your
It
home
can be
area.
really amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, fantastic. Mark, Elizabeth, thank you guys so much for showing your home to us and all of your upgrades and telling us your story. We've really appreciated it, and we look forward to running into you guys again,
yeah.
especially because we always feel like we don't see very many 390s in the wild. We're the only one that
Well,
shows
two geeks with
exactly.
390s.
Yes.
I think we've seen maybe 5.
So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Hit the subscribe button and follow us. Comment below what kind of solar you have and what batteries you wish you had and what kind of setup that you guys use while you boondock. And remember, tomorrow's journey
begins with today's step.
Take care, guys.